Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Remember, I don't like being called doctor. So, I want to first thank all of you for spending the time this morning to come and listen to my talk. Thank you again, Kiki, for introducing everyone and being the MC today. I also want to give thanks to Sensei Wandra and Sensei Turner, who came to me asking me to speak about how Buddhism may apply to being a physician. At first, I was really nervous about that. I really didn't want to do it, but I can't say no, so I said yes, and here I am today. I also want to give thanks to my cheerleaders, my family and friends who are here today at the Hondo and also watching on YouTube. I see some of you in the back, one person there in the white shirt. And also a special thanks to those who helped me with this talk today. I don't think I could have done it without that help, so thank you. So I want to be the first to tell you that I'm pretty much a Buddhist newbie. I didn't grow up at OCBC or any other Buddhist temple. In fact, during my time in high school and in college, I attended a Christian church. It was during this time that I found out that Christianity didn't really resonate with me. I stopped going to church until I married my wife, Renee Nakagawa, and then had my two kids, Kyle and Taryn Noda, who grew up through OCBC, doing everything that you're doing right now, maybe basketball, scouts, junior Y. And this is how my journey with Buddhism began. Here at OCBC, I found an embracing community that really accepts all. And so I finally felt home. So I want to share a funny story, though. Early on in my OCBC experience, I think it was bingo night or some sort of casino night. And I was really shocked because coming from a Christian church is a little different, right? So I saw people gambling. I saw people having adult drinks. And then I thought to myself, you know, a church or a temple that allows gambling and freely shares in having adult drinks can't be a bad church to belong to. So I embraced OCBC. So for this talk, you know, well, by the way, this is a picture not of me. It's of my daughter, Taryn. I think she was about 4 years old. I don't know why she dressed up this way. I don't know if it was for Halloween or she had one of those play kits and she dressed up, but that's a picture of her, not me. For this talk, I actually struggled with defining what a physician is. I do this every day, but I never really thought to define what it meant. So I actually had to cheat. So this is from Wikipedia. It's kind of small, so I do apologize, but I'll read it to you. So Wikipedia defines a physician as a health professional who practices medicine, who is concerned with promoting, maintaining, or restoring health through the study, diagnosis, prognosis, and treatment of disease, injury, and other physical and mental impairments. So it sounds kind of fancy. I didn't know I do all this stuff. So early on in my career, I thought that was really what I was supposed to be doing. So coming out of residency, I felt like a superhero. You know, I felt like I was full of all this knowledge, ready to help all the patients who would come and see me. I was really wrong. As I matured, I began to have a different perspective. Now I feel more like this. I learned that often I gain as much from my patients as I'm able to help them. Through my patients, I'm often reminded of some teachings of Buddhism, even though they may not be aware that they are. So I want to share you some of my experiences with my patients. So when Kyle was a baby, I had this wonderful female patient who would come see me. She had a rare form of cancer in the abdomen, and it was really in a place where we couldn't really help her. We couldn't treat her. She had chronic pain because of it, and I struggled because she had pain that I couldn't really help her with. Um, I remember she once came to see me for a visit and brought a blanket. She made this blanket for Kyle. Um, Despite her suffering with cancer and abdominal pain, she took the time to think of Kyle and to take the time through this all to make him a blanket. And I wondered to myself how she could be so selfless in a time um, of illness and great pain. So it made me realize that I'm not sure if I could do the same. I'm not sure if I could be as selfish as she. It reminded me of my own selfishness, of wanting to stay young and healthy, but realizing that if I stayed that way, thinking that way, that I would only cause more suffering to myself on this short time on earth because I haven't accepted that life is impermanent. So I continue to work on this as I notice that my eyes are getting worse, my skin is getting more wrinkled, my hair is getting more gray, and my joints ache more and more. Another story, I had a privilege of going to a home visit for a patient of mine who was in hospice. And hospice means that they don't have that much longer to live. So he was a Disneyland retiree. He worked all his life at Disneyland. And, despite the fact that I came to visit him as a doctor, he didn't really talk anything about his suffering. He really celebrated showing me his watch. It was a Mickey Mouse watch with Mickey Mouse hands kind of telling the time. And he said he got that at his retirement party. Oops, sorry, I'm going too fast. So, he shared his life and home with me despite it being one of his toughest times. He reminded me about having right view, right thought, right speech, and right conduct. It was a very humbling experience, and I'm forever grateful for he and his wife to share their lives with me. More recently, I had a patient, I think he was in his 70s. This was really early in the COVID pandemic. It was actually before we even had vaccines. Well, it was right at the time we had vaccines, and one of the first people to get vaccines were people in healthcare. And then the second group was those adults who were older, who may have had medical problems. But it was right there where I had the vaccine and he didn't. And he was in the hospital. He was a really amazing man. I think he was a wrestler in high school. His grandson, I think, played football in one of the colleges. And he was a really strong man despite his age. His handshake was firm. Every time he would come, he'd just shake my hand, and it was just strong. It would just cause me pain. We would first talk about his family and mine, and then he would always begin the visit asking me how I was and whether I'm feeling okay. So during my time, it was a very, very brief moment when the numbers of COVID was kind of high. I went into the hospital to help out, and I was seeing COVID patients. And so I had an opportunity, because he was in the hospital, to go see him. So at that point, he was already in the hospital for about a month. He was thin when I went to go see him, so different from what I remember him to be. And he was requiring a lot of oxygen to help him breathe. I already knew that his lungs were scarred, and they were never going to come back. And I knew that he won't be leaving the hospital. Again, when I went to see him, his first words were how great it was to see me and whether I was doing okay. We held hands, and then we sort of shed tears together. And then I said goodbye. I'll always remember that moment. Because it reminded me to appreciate the moment. It reminded me to appreciate every good or bad moment, to live in the moment and not really dwell on the past or think too much about the future. It taught me the concept of active presence, the belief that we can only act in the present moment. So we should choose how to act in the present to determine really who we are and who we want to be. This is a concept that, I have to keep working on. Buddhism and medicine share a connection in their pursuit of understanding suffering, its causes, and its cessation. Both disciplines seek to alleviate the burdens of existence and promote well-being. In Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths provide a framework to recognize suffering, understand suffering, and getting rid of suffering through enlightenment. The Four Noble Truths provide a framework for me as well, being a physician. So I've been going back and forth, accidentally pressing the button, and this is super small, so I do apologize, but this is what we actually spoke earlier this morning. And you could see on I guess it'll be the left, you have the Four Noble Truths, and then I copied what our service book has in the Buddhism column, and then the physician's perspective on the very right. So for dukkha, a physician recognizes that illness, injury, and the aging process are inherent aspects of the human condition, and to recognize the challenges and limitations of medicine and what we can provide. For samudaya, the noble truth of the cause of suffering, physicians may encounter patients with unhealthy behaviors, such as eating lots of fast food, candy, drinking too much alcohol, smoking, drugs, which can increase a person's suffering. Physicians can help encourage and guide patients to be better for themselves. The noble truth of the end of suffering, nirodha. So physicians cannot eliminate all suffering, but they can help manage a person's pain and find peace. They can provide treatments, support, and guidance to help patients cope with their illness and find meaning in their lives. The noble truth of the path, or marga. Physicians can practice mindfulness and compassion in their work. They can treat patients with kindness and respect and strive to really understand their experience. By cultivating a sense of empathy and non-attachment, physicians can better navigate the challenges of their profession and hopefully provide compassionate care. So this is how the Four Noble Truths, to me, relates to my work as a physician. One thing I want to leave with are little tidbits of wisdom from my patients. They either told me this, or these are simply some observations in my time working as a physician. I still think I'm a new physician, but I've been reminded time after time that I'm now a mature, seasoned physician. So the first one, and please make sure, if you want to take notes, feel free. Don't be lazy. Being lazy is not a good thing. It doesn't help you in your health. Those that move their bodies are happier and healthier. I've seen this time after time. There's probably some scientific papers that explain this, but I think all of you know that that's true. You can rest all you want when you die. This was actually from one of my patients, and I thought, wow, this is crazy. So in-depth and so true. Aches and pains happen if you rest or move, so just move, because you'll still have aches and pains. I think we should all take that into account. I know I have my aches and pains too, especially after Saturday in karate. Those who sit around are heavier and don't live long. This is an observation I had. And also, when I was in medical school, one of my attendings told me, look around in the community and you'll see that. You don't see many who are heavy in their 80s and 90s. This is, again, an observation and something one of my attendings at school taught me. Those who are pessimistic and negative often do not have good health. On the flip side, those who are optimistic and positive often have better health outcomes, whether they're sick or not. I hear this the most. The golden years are not golden, which reminds me to enjoy the younger years and each present moment. As you get older, this is for the young ones, okay? You talk more about pee and poop. Make sure to drink plenty of water and always eat your fruits and vegetables. So I also help out at LABCC, and I work at the Wakia, which is kind of like the infirmary. And so if I see any of you not eating your fruits and vegetables, I'm going to make sure that you do. Have purpose in your life. You'll be happier and healthier. Don't just retire. Find something to do. Have a routine. You'll live longer because of it. And this is very true. We have retirees who work really, really hard all their life, saving their money. Next thing they know, they're sitting on the couch watching TV all day, kind of figuring out what they're going to do. I don't see them live long. I see them get sick really, really quick. And so if you're close to retirement, or you're retired, or you just retired, this is so true. And I hope that this is one of the pieces that you'll take home today. And last, I really would like to thank my patients for being part of my life and for having them share theirs. I continue to hear the Dharma through my patients, and some are here with the Sangha, and I am forever grateful to you. Thank you.